What do you need to do when your book goes live on Amazon KDP? What launch plan do you have in place to make sure that your book becomes visible to as many people as possible and therefore you can sell more books? Well, in this video, I'm going to address some of these issues and outline 5 key things that you should be doing when you launch your book with Amazon KDP. Hello and welcome. My name is Romney and thank you very much for joining me on my YouTube channel. If you haven't been to this channel before, it's all about creating, building and scaling your self-publishing business. And I'm also the creator of the Publishing Accelerator, which is for low and no content publishers for Amazon KDP. Now, if you're interested in that course, then please check out the links below because there are actually quite a few things that I'll be discussing in this lesson that I include in the course as well. Now, when a book goes live, there are several things that you really should be implementing and not just sitting on your hands waiting for your book to sell, because the launch day is such an important day and the next 30 days that follow is even more important because it helps get your book ranked, and the more people that purchase your book gives Amazon the opportunity of knowing that your book is going to be a good seller, and it will actually push the opportunity of your book to be selling up the ranks a little bit more. So what are things that you can be doing? And well, in today's video, I'm going to be actually talking about 5 things that you can be implementing into your launch strategy. In fact, in the course, I provide my students with the blueprint to what I do to help my books become bestsellers and what strategies you need to include to ensure you give your book every opportunity to sell and to be ranked well for the long term with Amazon KDP. So let me get into those 5 areas or 5 things that you can be doing to help your book rank better, because consider when your book goes live as the 50% mark. What happens after that is going to be very, very important for the long-term future of your book on Amazon. So in no particular order, I'm going to give you these 5 key tips to help your book rank better and to sell more in the first 30 days, even the first 45 days on Amazon KDP. So tip number 1 would be to ensure you've got your marketing in place for customers to actually see more of your book. Because if you give your book every opportunity to be seen by a customer, then the better that's going to be. Now, we know there's a look inside feature for Amazon, and that takes approximately 10 days for that to start to show. The other thing you need to start to do is to ensure you've got that A+ content in place, because A+ content is a great way to give more of a viewpoint of your book to customers. And you can create 3D images or mock-up images that will help your book. And the more the customer sees of your book, the more comfort they have knowing that your book is going to be the one that they want to purchase. So tip number 1 is make sure you do everything you can to get your A+ content ready to go. Now, if you haven't created A+ content before, I'll link a video below and that will actually show you the exact steps that you need to do to include A+ content. Now, the A+ content is available to customers as they scroll further down the page. They will see more of your book and they can actually see inside the book and have those mock images that are available. And there's a few different templates you can choose from. So number 1, get your marketing right. Get those images right for A+ content, because as I mentioned, the more a customer feels confident in the purchase, the more opportunity there is that they're going to be pushing the buy now button. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to ensure you make the most of social media. Now, there are different things that you can do for free with your social media, and that could be putting in posts for Facebook, using Instagram, even using YouTube for promotion of your book. Now remember, if no one knows about your book, no one is going to purchase your book. So that is why reaching out, in addition to having your book go live on Amazon, is just so important. Now, very recently, I created a course about email marketing and getting more customers to be aware of your book, and therefore helping with your launch for future books as well. If you can create a marketing system or an email marketing system that helps promote your book and gives readers more advance notice that you're going to be launching a book, that helps in so many different ways. Again, what I'll do is I'll link that course and also a free YouTube video in the description below, and that talks through the system and a process that I go through when I develop my email marketing strategy for my books for when they go live. So number 2, make sure you get some awareness of your book through social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube videos, and use your existing subscribers, if you have an email marketing system already in place, to notify them about your books. If you haven't got one of those in place, as I mentioned, make sure you check out my course or check out the link to the YouTube video that I talked about the email marketing strategy. So that's going to be an important one for you to look over. So that was number 2. So let's move on to tip number 3. Now this is going to be something which some people may or may not be able to do, but depends on your budget. But I absolutely and highly recommend that if you do have a budget, to make sure that you introduce some Amazon ad campaigns into your strategy for your launch. Amazon ads is a wonderful way to be able to get in front of those customers that are already on the platform of Amazon. Now, in my course, I talk about some different strategies, the mindset of Amazon advertising, and ways that you can do keyword research, broad term campaigns, category campaigns, optimizing your campaigns. There are several different things that I implement, and I teach my students about the importance of Amazon advertising when your book does go live. Now, the look inside feature is something I'll cover in a moment, but remember that it probably is good to get some smaller ads happening just to begin with, to get your keywords ranking for your book. So maybe a couple of days after it goes live, start to introduce the Amazon ads. But make sure that whatever you do, be careful of how much you're spending with your Amazon ads as well, and put a limit on what that spend is, because you don't want to be overspending and crippling your budget in the first week through Amazon advertising. That's something I see that many people do get wrong, is that they get excited about their book, they launch it, they spend a lot on ads, and then suddenly they don't have a budget to be able to spend any more on any other marketing opportunities. So that's something that you need to be very wary of. But I do absolutely have it as a main key tip that I would recommend people do. If you do have the opportunity of starting Amazon advertising, do it after the first couple of days. Get your keywords ranking, therefore your book will be seen by more people in your particular niche as well. So that's tip number 3. So what's tip number 4? Well, tip number 4 is to ensure that you increase your look inside from 10% up to 20 to even 30%. Now, the look inside feature is something quite unique to Amazon, where a customer, after approximately day 10, when the look inside feature does become available, is there for customers to be able to click on it and look more through your book. Now, the look inside feature, when it does go live, is listed at 10% of what customers can see inside. But I've found that if I increase my look inside to 20%, sometimes 30%, depending on the kind of book, then it does actually increase sales. Now, you shouldn't be worried about what your competitors are looking at. Some people say, well, I don't want to increase the look inside beyond 10% because I don't want my competitors seeing what my manuscript might look like. Well, my argument is, well, don't worry about your competitors, worry about your customers. Your competitors aren't buying your book, but your customers certainly are. And they're the ones that you need to be strategically marketing and launching your book for, and the strategies you implement are for your customer. So if you haven't seen how to increase your look inside feature above 10%, then make sure you check out the link below again, and that will give you a video about how to increase that through customer service of KDP. So that's tip number 4. Again, it's to do with marketing. Increase your look inside feature above the 10%, and you can actually go all the way up to around about 80%. Not that I'd advise that, but definitely think about increasing it to about 20%, even 30%, depending on the kind of book. So that's tip number 4. So let's move on to tip number 5. So tip number 5, I want to talk about social proof. Now, social proof in the way of reviews. Now, reviews are going to be very important, but again, it's very hard to get reviews if you can't sell your books. And if you're not selling books, you can't get reviews. So what I've done over the past 18 months is developed a launch team. Now, my launch team can provide an unbiased review of my book in return for a free copy, but they must stipulate that in their review that they did receive a free copy of the book in return for an unbiased review. So that needs to be put in the comments section of their review. But a launch team can really help. It helps you generate more reviews, and particularly for the first 10 days to 15 days, those reviews are going to be critical for social proof. Now, if you're wanting to know how to develop that launch team, then you can watch my email marketing lesson or YouTube video. You can purchase that course, which I go into depth about it as well. And it's something that you need to really consider as part of your launch strategy. Getting people behind you that can help you with your launch and getting social proof is going to be critical. So if you don't have a following or you don't have people that are aware of your brand or your books, then make sure you watch that YouTube video about email marketing, and I talk about the system I use with ConvertKit to get subscribers and develop launch teams as well. Now, when you are developing a launch team, it's much harder to do anything in regards to no content books. But it can be a bit easier to even use platforms like Booksprout, and Booksprout can get your book in front of customers who are happy to provide reviews. So that's something you need to look into as well. So that's tip number 5, getting that social proof with reviews, creating a launch team. And if you don't have a subscriber base or you haven't got a launch team, I'd highly recommend that you start looking into ways you can do that. So just check out the links below regarding that email marketing that I was mentioning. So they are my 5 initial tips that I'd like to give you regarding your book launch. Now, whatever you do, just do something, because you really do need to make sure that more people become aware of your book, and that can be either using free techniques or paid techniques as well, and making sure that you try and get as much social proof as you can in the first 10 to 15 days. Now, if you want more details about how I successfully launch my books, then you might want to become a student of the Publishing Accelerator, which is the low and no content publishing course. And as I mentioned, that's where I provide my blueprint of what I do when I launch my book successfully with Amazon KDP. So just check out the links below if that's of interest to you. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you found this information valuable, and I look forward to sharing with you more information and content later on.